This is Radically Alive Women's Edgecast.
Hello and welcome to Radically Alive Women, Yael Deckelbaum.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really glad to see you and honored to host you here. I've reached out to you to talk about a variety of women's topics that are brewing in me, and I want to see what is the most alive, just so that listeners that might not have heard about you know who you are. You're an award-winning singer-songwriter. You're also an activist, and how I came across you was when I first saw the video that is of the Prayer of the Mothers, the song that you wrote, and that was the song for the movement of Palestinian and Israeli women walking together, mothers walking together for change, for peace. And it just blew me away to see that was happening and had already happened at the time. I think it was 2016 that you did that. So that's sort of the framework in which we're moving today, and I really want to bring it close to where you are at now internally. And for that, I'd love to start with the question of who are you right now?
Definitely 10 years older than who I was in 2016. I'm a woman in search, a woman in questioning, a woman that's in a quest, a woman that doesn't know. I'm a woman that doesn't know, and a woman who knows very much. It goes together, the not knowing and the knowing. But we've all been through a lot of transformations, and after what's been happening and what's happening now in the world, to choose to still work for peace, it's a very deep choice. It's not anymore like just a word, peace. It's not just a word. It's been taken apart in so many ways. And also we're living now in a world that doesn't, the world peace is not very popular, actually, right? Like justice is more popular, much more than peace. And the question about what is justice is also like being argued. So for me, like the word peace today is not what it used to be 10 years ago. And the things that I do are not the same. And the way I am is not the same. And I guess the word peace for me, it started to change the past years when I realized that as I was being a peace activist for many years and a social activist, and I was doing it without any inner peace, right? Like I was bypassing some inner wound, and I maybe sometimes even used my mission to avoid my pain, to avoid my feeling myself fully, which means has to include childhood traumas. It has to include uncertainties and pain. So just clinging to an idea. And that has been definitely peeled from me, like just when I felt that I can't hold on to the image of the peace bringer because something inside of me was aching for attention. It took me into an inner journey that I started to allow myself to meet some places in myself that weren't tended, that I wasn't ready to meet. And so my whole approach towards peacemaking has changed a lot. Once I had an idea of it, and I wanted to sweep the whole world. And then I realized that peace as an idea cannot exist amongst people who have not tended their wounds, who have not healed, or not in a healing process, or a process of acceptance of also the wars inside of us. So I'm in a very intense learning curve, still inquiring a lot about it, and still choosing to work for peace in this world. Just my methods and the way I do it and the rhythm of it has changed. But it's still my dream. It's still what I aspire for. I'm constantly affected by reality and by the current state of the collective field. And I'm also always working on separating myself and also protecting myself from certain aspects in order for me to have the space inside of me that I can manifest good things. Because if I drown in everyone's ideas and everyone's energy, I forget my light. And so I have to protect it. So I am learning how to engage with current reality. It is a type of art. And sometimes, in order to be protected so that I may benefit, I need to also retreat. So I allow this to myself more than before because I used to feel really guilty for retreating. So I work on that also.
And I think here we are at the center really of this topic of what does it mean to be a woman? It's like something to be learned in this world. Like being with the cyclicality of life, being outward, being inward, retreating, going into action, but also uncovering. And I get the sense, just listening to you and sensing you in the space, of this deep grief, also this deep grief and also sadness. And when I speak of sadness, I'm really like an archetypal force that is in service of love. This is like an expression of love, and that can break open when the heart breaks. What do you know about that? What do you know about the deep sadness and the grief?
Yeah, it's you can't have an open heart and not have it broken these days, right? If we really care today, we care, we care deeply about all of the suffering, the people who don't have a privilege to retreat or are now in a constant state of ongoing trauma. So it's two things, because, and I think this is like a key thing for the women's revolution, right? It's how to combine and let yourself feel the grief of the outcomes of patriarchy today. Like it is a state of led by the values of war. And in the same time, allow yourself to tap into your spiritual power. It means becoming super powerful. And it exists in all women. Like we have a very, very strong spiritual gift. We have a different language that we are paving the path for this language now. And it has been so forgotten in us, this natural language of the women, that it doesn't even have names. Certain things, they don't have a name. Because the language that's being used in the world today, it's scripted by men. It has been scripted by men, and women use it. And we use it talking to ourselves. Like we look at ourselves through these lenses, and we look at society through these lenses. And I think the biggest example for that is war. Everybody feels at these times of day that war is necessary. It can be like in many layers. It doesn't only have to be with weapons, but we feel that we need to fight. It makes sense to us. We need that there is someone right and someone wrong. And you see it on social media. You see it in polarized ideas. You see it in people accusing each other. You see it in the energy of the activism. You see it in the name of just causes. Like if it's for our planet, if it's for the children of Gaza, if it's for Israel's right to defend itself. Like a lot of people have a very just cause, but for that just cause, they amplify the frequency of war. They amplify the frequency of separation. They amplify the othering. And so it makes a lot of sense, right? Because we want to make things right. And I believe that the women's language is different because it's inclusive for all life. All life, it means everyone. It means a bigger compassion. It means not tilting the right and the wrong between different places, like it's not moving trauma from one people to another people. It's healing trauma. It's a whole different approach. And it includes all life. I'm realizing that I have the biggest challenge of my life right now, which is to be in a war zone, to be in a war zone and many, many layers of it. And first of all, to find where's the war in me, like really finding where is the war in me and what does it mean even, like, so it's actually where do I ignore my truth and what is my truth? And that's a very refined thing. Where do I attack me? Where do I choke myself? Where do I not allow myself? Where did I disconnect from my spiritual power, from my soul, from believing in me? Where did I become silenced inside of me? And to start recognizing and hearing again my voice. And that voice is a voice of life. It's a voice of deep responsibility over life. And it's deep responsibility over love. Not as an angelic value or something like like far away thing. Like, no, love has been like radically diminished into something that's not to be taken seriously. And for me, it's like I take it very seriously. I take it deeply seriously. Love is the force, and compassion is a very important force. So to stand with that means, like, how do I find a spiritual power inside of me that I can look beyond the reactions of trauma around me? Because if I look only on the surface, then I see a war. But when I look behind it and underneath it, I see people longing for belonging, longing for safety, and longing to make a world that they can feel that they can be held in this world. And it's like children, and we have many languages and many tools in these times, but not everyone has yet the access to this language, to these tools. So we act out, we react and not respond. So how do I respond to it with responsibility and not just react to it from my own trauma? It's a lot of practice. Yeah, it's to embody something different. And there's not something that they taught us to do in school or that our parents knew. This is some deep, very important knowledge. And I'm feeling that more and more women are waking up to that knowledge. More and more women are remembering. And actually, it's a knowledge that you don't only get it in books. It's a knowledge that we have in ourselves, in our souls, to remember to honor life, to remember to honor love, and to look deeper than what we see on the first few layers of every story. There is something deeper. And from that, we can connect. So I guess I'm still in the journey, you know, it's not like I've reached there, but I have like a direction. I have a direction of what I want to work with, how I want to work with it, what I choose to do. And whenever, like right now, I'm working on this big women's choir project. This is a very good example that I've been asking myself. A lot of times I get confused by the noise around me, and then I'm thinking, so what am I doing? Like, why am I even doing this big women's choir? And the answer that comes to me is because the current state of the world is a direct result of women silencing their voices, not daring to speak, not daring to believe what we know to be true. And I think the more and more women tap into our voices, not just getting equal rights, but tap into our true voice. You know what? It's our true voice saying to us that we know right from wrong, and we speak it in a very clear way because we know it. Then I think change will be broadly possible because the world needs it now. The world needs women leadership, not just to be like in a high political place, but in a grassroots way of many, many women waking up, uniting and coming together from a new place of knowing, of self-knowing.
I would love to branch out into this term that you're saying, women leadership, because I really care about that also. And as you say, I think it's really not about women coming into these positions, and maybe it's also about that, but I think what needs to be born, especially through women, is that way of non-hierarchical coming together and each really honoring their own wisdom. And from there, leading whoever has the clearest piece is in lead. And then and it's not a status, it's not a fixed position, it's a collaboration approach. What would you say about women's or about this kind of leadership that you're talking about?
I think we still have a lot to learn about how to structure that. We have to discover still what kind of systems we can create from our womanhood. And I think we're still a little bit not in the clear about that. I think the direction definitely is not the arrow point, but much more the circle. On the other hand, it's not communism and equality, because this is also from the head, and we don't want to strip people from their individuality and their special abilities. I think true women leadership, the one we need, is one driven not by fear and lack, but by love and abundance. And through our spiritual connection to our hearts, to our souls, and to the beyond, because without spirituality, humanity will not transcend, will not only transcend, but evolve. Like, we cannot evolve fully without spirituality. You can see it, and technologically, we've come very far. Technologically, we have AI now, like, we are really very evolved. But we're destroying our planet. We're building weapons. Children are suffering. There is still domestic violence. There is still in half of the world's women who are enslaved in some way. So I'm saying without true spiritual presence of really knowing, then we're not truly evolving, right? Like, we need that women leadership, we need that responsibility, and we need the connection to spirit
Like I'm totally with you. You know, it's a common thing to say we need to overcome fear and lead with love. And I think like an element that I just want to add to that is that the fear you're talking about, I agree. And this emotional fear, this trauma informed fear where we freeze, we flight, or we fawn. And there's a way that I think the same energy of when we're not holding on to that, when it doesn't come from the trauma, but it comes as this energy that rushes through us, is really this energy that informs the magic that women have access to in their intuition. And it's also fear, but it
Yeah.
is an adult fear. It's not an old fear from that freezes us. So this pure energy that is for creation, that is for reaching deep. I think also from this physical embodiment of womanhood that has a uterus that reaches really deep into the
Yes.
earth, and from there in the unknown, like pulls out these pieces that we need to create new structures that we need to inform the new, because it cannot be replicating the old. This would be a waste of our energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And also like not, I want to make a point of we not to spiritual bypass
Yes.
dark side, right? Like it's not about, when I'm talking about leading from love, I'm definitely not talking about suppressing fear. It's about discovering the root of it and working with it. There's a lot of tendencies to try to bypass our humanity. And I think that's also a part of patriarchy, that we have these images of the saints, or how spirituality has been presented to us as we have our role models who have completely transcended their humanity, like Jesus, Buddha, certain saints, like people who are like, they're our role models. Oh, I wish I would just not feel anymore, like I could just be above. And I think that women spirituality and women leadership is also giving a place for our vulnerability to exist, and not trying to win it over or to transcend it completely. But on the opposite, I think mourning, grieving, going through darkness is a part of a more full experience of being humans on this earth. So we are to be bridges between our soul or spirit, which is endless, everlasting, full of light, to our little girl, which is vulnerable, hurt, and needs to be included, cannot be overridden. And when we are moving forward towards from A to B, to not leave anything behind, not leave any part of us behind. It may be that we will move slower. It may be not so linear, but we get there more whole.
Yeah. I smile because I recognize that from my own journey of, I used to think even the spiral, you know, like a evolutionary spiral like that would go straight up, so to speak. And from the side, it still looks like an arrow pointing straight up. And then I realized, you know, it's really going into these dark places. And then there's a spiral here, and then going to another dark or another evolutionary round. And it's really this, it's like terrain. It's like a terrain that makes mountains. And that's the journey, right? To go from one to the other, or even just to be on the journey. It's not even about arriving anywhere in this lifetime.
Absolutely. It's just the journey. That's all it is. We come here, it's temporary. And we're on a journey, and we're on a learning curve. We have a lot to learn. And I'm feeling that I only am starting to really understand some things, and that I have a lot more to learn.
Can you say something about how your learning is informed, maybe, or enriched or whatever your experience is by walking besides other women. That's what I perceive from the outside, is that you are working a lot or walking a lot besides other women. How is that for you?
Well, the first thing I'm surprised and not surprised is how much wisdom every woman has. And how much she doesn't believe in herself. I've seen that with so many women who have like this amazing wisdom, and they're not aware. And it reflects on me as well, you know, like we learn it together. My girlfriend is one of my biggest teachers in that, to come back to my sovereign ground and to affirm my knowings. I think we bounce off each other lots of intelligence. And it's been one of the things that makes me feel most of all, when I realize how many wise women there are doing such amazing work, is I can breathe, that I don't have to carry it alone. That I can trust that this wisdom exists everywhere. And instead of competition, it arises in me a feeling of I can relax and just carry my own thing, because every woman has something she carries, and there's a lot of women leaders out there doing amazing work, and it makes me more calm.
Thank you. Thank you for adding this piece. I can relate. Can you, as we're coming to an end, can you say something as a very practical invitation for anyone listening now? Maybe one practice or something that you've noticed works for you to come closer or to speak your truth. What can you give women to speak their truth?
Well, you know, my tool is music. I work a lot through music, and for me, that's my tool, is how I do it and how I lead women to do it. You know, it's just through singing and praying is a practice that for me is makes me tap into this something beyond. I definitely recommend my girlfriend's workshops, because she really knows how to do it. Actually, I recommend you interview her. Her name is Marley Wolf. She created this Sovereign Ground Institute, where she teaches women how to move from self-betrayal into affirming themselves. And her work is incredible. It changed me a lot and helps me a lot. So I recommend that if you want a more like didactic method, because I'm very abstract in my work, and I make music and I make women sing, and it's a different tool.
Yeah, and I appreciate both aspects. I think the singing and the connecting and simply letting the sound come, that is already huge. Yeah. So it's both. I think it's both important. Yeah. Is there any offer that's coming up that you want people to know about, or anything else you want to say before we close?
Just thank you. Thank you for doing your work. And good luck. And yeah, let's continue. Never stop.
Never stop. Thank you. Yeah.